And welcome to everybody joining for the Google Analytics 101 session. Very excited you all are here. And my name is Audrey Barbara as your host, but really the stars of the show are Anderson Murphy and Elizabeth Glass. So they'll be presenting on Google Analytics 101. As you see, this is the track for marketing analytics and data interpretation, in case you're wondering if you're in the right spot. But very happy to be hosting this session and with what I learned were my fellow yellow and green archetype color folks here, Anderson and Elizabeth, who are really the experts in this realm of data intelligence. So I'm going to pass it over to them to do full introductions and get us started.
Thanks, Audrey, and welcome everyone to Google Analytics 101. Hoping you leave this session understanding a little bit more about capabilities and how it might be useful in your day-to-day work. To get started, if you don't know me, I'm Anderson Murphy, Vice President of Data Intelligence. I've been here at Carnegie for 7 years, live just outside of Portland, Maine, and I'm a data-driven marketer that really loves understanding what is working from a marketing perspective, and maybe more importantly, what is not working, finding insights and optimizing the digital experience to always keep improving performance for ourselves and our clients. And I am the influential and analytical theorist.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Glass. I am a Google Analytics Manager here on the team. I am a data-driven marketing. I have data-driven marketing experience. Done a variety of marketing, and then specifically in higher ed at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And I am the industrious and investigative researcher. So yes, I like to know how things work. I am a data girl. I like to see the numbers and see it all come together. Where's and what's. So today we're going to talk about Google Analytics, specifically Google Analytics 4, and what it can do for you here at Carnegie. Going through our agenda, we're just going to start with just an overview of GA4. Then we're going to dive into some of the reports and explorations. And then we're going to look at how does this apply to you? What is this useful for here at Carnegie? And then we'd be happy to answer some questions, anything that you have. If you want to put it in the chat as we go along, or if you want to hang on to your questions till the end, we'd be happy to answer them for you. All right, so let's start with an emoji quiz. So in your chat, go ahead and put an emoji for how informed do you feel about GA4? Like, do you know even what it is? Not so sure, or you're really excited, or you're like, I've heard of this and I want to learn more. So where are you at with GA4? Yeah, seeing some confused. I'm not sure. Dogs are always welcome, just saying. Yeah. That sounds to me like, yep, we are ready for this session to learn a little more and get some of those confused faces to be maybe not so confused. So let's start with taking a look at what is GA4. So GA4 is the short name for Google Analytics 4, and it's used to track website activity. So GA4 tracks either websites or an app when the tracking code is installed on the HTML on the website. So we specifically use Google Tag Manager so that we can get that tracking code on the site to get all the data to come into Google Analytics. So previously, you may have heard of it known as Universal Analytics. I believe it started in 2005. And it's been a while, so it was time. So Google has shifted to the new model of analytics called Google Analytics 4, otherwise known as GA4, just last summer, actually. So as they swapped over in July, they stopped even collecting data in Universal Analytics, and now we are fully in GA4. Why did they do this? Because it's been a while. Things have changed. Users have changed, industry, regulatory landscape has changed, businesses have changed, websites have changed. As you know, any website you go to does not look the same as it did in 2005. So there's just the foundation is very different. So it was time for a new model. So previously with Universal Analytics, we may have talked a lot more about different sessions, different behavior type things, but now we're event-based. Everything is an event, whether it's a page view or a session, but we'll get into those details in a little bit. So at this point, it's a new model. So what does it measure? Uh, Basically, it's looking at the website, as we said. So it's looking at traffic. How did people get there? And user behavior. What are they looking at? How are people engaging with your site? So what are the top pages? How many pages are they looking at? How long did they spend on the page? Then it can go into more detail of things like what are they clicking on or what are they interacting with? What are they searching for? So when someone gets on the website and they're in that little search bar and they're typing in tuition, they want to know how to find it. We need to know that. We need to know what they can't find on the website. So Google Analytics gives us that interest and that ability to see what website users are looking for. So why is this valuable? This is just kind of an overview of a couple different things, looking at SEO, organic sessions, how much came organically, looking at paid traffic with digital media campaigns, the overall website experience, what are users engaging with, traffic sources, is it internal traffic or external traffic, especially useful on a university where you have everybody on campus. Is that who is using the website or is it new people coming into the website? So it's really helpful for us to be able to create tracking points to be able to find where users are engaging with the website. All right, so we've got another trivia question for you in the chat. So what percentage of websites that collect analytics use specifically Google Analytics? Would you say 97%, 84%, or 57%?
Seeing lots of B's and C's in the chat so far. Few A's.
Good answers, guys. 84%. So Google Analytics is used by 84% of all websites whose traffic use the analytics, which is 50% of all websites. So there are a lot of websites that aren't even tracking analytics yet. So gotta get some more on board. This is just a quick graph of where you can see what a big difference it is from Google Analytics to the other tracking. So GA4 really, it was important for it to be updated because so many people are using this platform. And important for us to become knowledgeable about it so that we can help other people and guide the schools through getting all these set up. All right, so we talked about it tracking as an event tracking overall. So you're going to hear the terms metrics or dimensions and metrics a lot. So just as an overall, dimensions, if you think of it like the category of things, and then metrics, think of it as like the numbers of things. So we have enhanced measurements, which is basically the standard measurements that Google already uses. So they use a page view event, and then they would use one page view per view. They also measure clicks, downloads, sessions, scrolls, just the overall metrics. Then we can set up custom events. So this is what we do through Google Tag Manager. GTM, we can go in and say specifically hit an event every time someone clicks this button on this page. So we know when someone signs up for an RFI or someone fills out an application or someone started their application but didn't finish. So it just really helps us be able to do specific events on there. So metrics, we talked about the numbers. So we can know the engagement time, how many pages per session. It's kind of the how many of each of those events. And then custom parameters. It's a cool feature in this. We have custom parameters to be able to add, I guess you could say it as extra information to each of these events. So if someone has a page view, now you can add that page title. You can go in and put more information custom, so we can decide what information we want and be able to get extra parameters on there. We can also learn more about users. So you can know if they're a new user or a returning user or where they're located if they're sharing that with the browser, what device type. In addition to the user information, we can also find out how they got there. So this is really a really important key for us to know how users are coming to the site. So looking at the source, looking at their channels, especially in marketing, looking at the campaigns, specifically when we use those UTM parameters. So now we know how many users came through the site through this email campaign and landed on this page. And then what did they do? So it really helps us dive into the behavior. I'll pass it back to Anderson.
Awesome. Yeah. Now we'll take you through some of the standard reports available within Google Analytics 4, get you a glimpse into what the user interface looks like, how you can see things and what's useful where, and then talk about some custom explorations as well that can be built. So diving in first to the console data or the user interface, the Google Analytics structure of accounts breaks down into accounts and properties. So an account might be like the institution level or the university level, and then there could be multiple properties within there. And each property is typically tracking like one website or one subdomain, or sometimes it will be set up to track holistically across all websites and subdomains. But overall, this is in the property is where you get to see everything that Elizabeth was just talking about for dimensions and metrics, and where you can start to find some of your standard reports. So when you jump in here, you get to the homepage of reports snapshots, and Google Analytics gives you what it thinks is most important for you to look at and understand. And it acts as kind of a starting off point where you can learn some information about what's going on either real time or for the past 28 days, whatever your date range is set to, and be able to jump in further from there to dig into things. So you can get a quick glimpse here, for example, of how many users were on your site during the last 28 days and how many of those were new and what did the average engagements time look like, for example. And then in terms of event tracking, like Elizabeth already mentioned, everything is an event in GA4. And the standard event report, which we're showing here, shows the event count for all of those events. So our event name in this case is the dimension that we're pulling in, and the event count and total users and event count per user is our metrics that we're looking at as it relates to those. So here we can see how many page views that were happening during this time period, about 46,000 during this time, and how many of those users on the page scrolled to at least 25% of the page during those page views, and how many engagements did they have, for example. But we also have the ability to use this plus arrow here to add a second dimension, because while viewing these event counts holistically can be important from a high level, it is almost always you're going to want to dig a little bit deeper to learn more. So here, maybe you want to learn about what pages those events are happening on, so you can understand what the top engaged pages are, or your pages with the top events. And in this case, using our own website as an example here, we can see that our homepage is by far the most viewed page. It also has the most session starts, and it has the most number of engagements there as well. We also have some standard enhanced measurements as well, like Elizabeth was saying. So page view is just one of those basic events, but some of those other ones that get automatically collected are nice, are the 90% scrolls, external clicks. If you're clicking a button to go off to another website, we can track that and know exactly what type of link that you're going off to or what website you're going off to. If files are downloaded, we can understand which files are downloaded and how many as well. And then of course, conversion related data like form completions can be important too. And we can see all that down to the page level, of course, as well. Diving into some of the user data that Elizabeth highlighted earlier as well. Google anonymously collects user data, and it's in the form of cookies. So when you get to a website, the tracking tag places a first-party cookie on your site, on your browser. If you've never been there before, there's no cookie, so it places a new cookie and you're a new user. If you've been to that website before, then there's a cookie that exists already. Google's able to see that cookie and identifies you as a returning user. And so that's some basic high-level quantitative metrics about the number of users coming to your site. But you can also dig in deeper to learn more about those users as well, for things like location, age, gender, browser, operating system, or language. And then you can do more information, or do more with that information as well. So this, for example, you can then build audiences based on that data if you wanted to. So maybe we want to look at, in this case, build an audience for all of our users that are coming to the site, but then also get down into a little bit more nitty-gritty detail of building out audiences for those who came specifically from Google organic search, or those who took specific engagement actions like downloading a file. And with those audiences, we can utilize those for further analysis to understand what events or conversion points specific audience members are taking, or we can utilize them for remarketing by linking to Google Ads and pushing these audiences over there to remarket to as well.
All right, so jumping into some of the geo data here. So on these standard reports, as you mentioned, it's GA4 is anonymously collecting location on users. And basically this is if it's enabled on their desktop or on their phone. So this gives you more information. You can go from country level down to city level, metro area, looking at metrics such as engagement rate. Clicking on this little arrow here gives you a deeper dive into the data. So you can see all these metrics based on location. So this could really help with targeting geolocations for ads to be able to say that this specific area is more engaging of an audience than this specific area. And it does it by city. It doesn't quite get down to zip code or anything that small, but as far as general city, it does give you that information. And then we can look at our page data. So as you notice that we got to the pages by the events, and now we're looking at the actual page. We can jump into screen metrics here, such as views per user, how long are they staying on the page. And then we can also add another dimension here, so we can dive down even deeper. So now there's a variety of dimensions that you can choose from. So say we wanted to see page refer, so we can see where did these people come from? What was the last page that they were on before they came to this page? So it gives you a good idea of the user journey across the website, so you can see where users are coming from. So all of those were standard reports, and those are what come in the console. And they are somewhat basic where you're looking at just a few dimensions, just a few metrics. But if you want to dive in deeper and you want to do a custom version of any of those reports, you can set up an exploration. So there's templates that are already made that you can just fill in what dimensions and metrics you want, basically in the form of a table or in a path exploration, funnel exploration. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at the data, but these explorations give you the ability to put in multiple dimensions and multiple metrics to see how everything works together. All right, another trivia question. What is usually the highest source, which channel we'll call it in this case, of traffic to a website? Would it be social or paid or organic search? We might want it to be paid, but
A lot of C's, few other outliers, a lot of C's.
nice. Indeed, it is organic search. So this is just an overview of the session primary search. Usually we see organic search at the top, but I will say a handful of times I've seen direct, where organic search is just under direct visitors to the website. But the primary is usually organic search. Great answers, guys. Thank you. So how do these users get? There's a lot of different fancy words that GA4 likes to use. As we said, it's channel groups. So looking at the different sessions, it is a data-driven model. So Google isn't necessarily looking at just a one touch or a last touch, first touch. They're using a data-driven model to look at the holistic view of how people got to the website. So looking at channels, we're talking about the overall, how did someone get to the website? There we go. So session default channel groups. So this is generally what you'll see with the organic search generally at the top, like we said, with direct. This is just the overall, how did people get there? And then we dive a little deeper and we get into what is the source. So the source is often, it's the publisher basically. So now we know they got there through organic, but which way? So the source is saying they came through Google or they came through Bing. How did they get there specifically? Then we can dive even a little deeper and we can go into the medium. And so what method? Did they get there organically? Did they get there through CPC? Did they get there through organic? Did they get there through paid? Did they get there through social? Did they get there through social? Did they get there through organic? And so this really breaks down the users, which gets even more and more granular when you're looking at which campaign or which UTM parameters. So which term was it on which email campaign? So it really goes granular to be able to find out how the users have gone to your website.
Cool. And now we'll talk about some use cases here at Carnegie. Website user behavior data from campaigns. So the probably goes without saying, but digital team utilizes GA4 quite frequently for understanding user behavior from traffic driven from their campaigns. So they do get some signals within the ad platforms themselves for ad engagement for things like impressions and clicks, as well as conversions later down the line. But the ad platforms don't have visibility into all the traffic or all the activity that the traffic is taking on the website. So Google Analytics helps us dive a little bit deeper into that. So we're able to understand when a user gets to a landing page from some of our Carnegie digital campaigns, you're seeing paid social, display, email here, for example. What are they doing when they get to the landing page? Or are they going to other pages on the site to learn more before they're inquiring through the form on the landing page? So it really helps us be able to understand of the traffic that isn't converting, how can we improve that landing page to give them more information that they're going and digging for and looking for on their own. But then there's obviously ways that we can use that data too to determine how long somebody is on the page from different channels. So sometimes we might see that traffic coming from paid social campaigns is not staying around as long as traffic from paid search, for example. So maybe we can utilize that information to go and optimize the audience targeting that we have for our paid social campaigns. And then we're also able to dig even deeper, right, to see different ads themselves. So down to the term or content level, it's possible that channel performance is similar across different channels, but then we're able to dig to see individual ads to see differences there. And maybe some ads are resonating with users more and allowing them to or intriguing them more to learn more information about on the website as well. So we use it quite frequently to dig further into the data and understand user activity. The SEO team over in the web division will also use it quite frequently for search engine optimization, both research and reporting. So sometimes clients will have priority programs or they'll have a blog and they'll want to learn how they can increase traffic to those pages. So they'll look for pages across the site that are getting organic search traffic, but maybe they're not as much as they're hoping for because they are priorities. So we can utilize reports like this one here to find those low organic traffic sites and bring those up to the top of our priority for optimizing the content on. So in this case here, right, you can see organic search 2024 Carnegie Conference pre-conference down there at number 10. Maybe in this case, this would be a focus if we're really trying to push registrations for a Carnegie conference. That would be an opportunity to look to increase the content or optimize the content on that page for organic search, learn a little bit more about what the users looking for higher education conferences are searching for on Google and influence the content with those keywords. In this case, though, this page got a lot of traffic. This is just the time range of this. We're looking at data here after the conference, so that's why it's so much lower. Otherwise, it would have been closer near the top. Shout out to the conference. But similarly, we can use these reports to monitor the performance of pages that we have optimized as well. So if we're looking at our blog pages on the Carnegie website, for example, we're able to see the fruits of our labor, if you will, of what performance is looking like after we've made improvements there. So did our changes to the content increase the number of users coming from organic search or not? And if it in either way, if it did or did not, maybe it had a different effect of increasing the engagement time on that site or on that particular page as well. So from our team's perspective, the SEO is not just about getting traffic to the website, but it's about keeping them there and optimizing the content to do that as well, giving them what they're looking for. And so that is important as well. And then we have some other use cases as well, of course, across the various divisions here of how GA4 can integrate into your workflows. So we were showing some examples here through the way of Carnegie's website and some of the internal marketing that might be done to push traffic there. So that's obviously one use case that can be done. Creative as well. We talked a little bit about how we can understand the performance differences of people clicking on different creative and getting there. And maybe there are some creatives that are driving high amounts of clicks, but low engagement when they get there versus others that are driving fewer clicks, but high engagement. So we can use that type of information from analytics to refine and test new designs to optimize for user experience. The Slate team can utilize Google Analytics for looking at user behavior on landing pages from search campaigns that they're sending email communications to prospective search students. How are those students clicking on those emails, engaging with the landing pages? What does the drop-off look like on forms? Maybe that is an opportunity to look at the length of a form, and if they're dropping off because at the fifth form field because there's just too much information being asked, you can utilize that data to look to optimize your form, for example, by removing fields that are barriers to submission. And then, of course, you can just look at general traffic reporting from those campaigns too. It's possible that of the traffic getting to the page, they might be going elsewhere, and we can utilize analytics to determine where else they're going and learn more about the content that they're digesting. And that learning can then be incorporated into future emails to give the audience more of what they're looking for and trying to find on their own. Website design, of course, we utilize Google Analytics quite frequently to understand user behavior on an existing website to inform the design going forward, looking at what users are engaging well with to keep around on the website and what they're not, so that we can look to optimize that experience for the new website. On the client success side, thinking holistically about the client, we can utilize it to not just look at Carnegie efforts from a marketing perspective, but looking at the overall effectiveness of a client's marketing strategy. All right, because it's not just about paid media, but we can analyze traffic from their own email campaigns that they're running, or maybe they have multiple vendors. We can look holistically at traffic and marketing effectiveness from all of their different activities. College Express team utilizes Google Analytics quite frequently as well for a lot of the similar things that we talked about, but analyzing behavior on the website, both from traffic acquisition standpoint, but also user behavior to see what types of content that they're engaging with. And we actually have some heat mapping going on for them as well on some new features of the College Express initiative. So looking forward to presenting some of that and going over that with them too. It can also be used for internal systems. So listed just a couple examples here, but things like Tin Man and Carnegie Portal, analytics can be deployed there to learn about the specific features that internal folks are engaging with or not engaging with. So that can be to remove features that nobody is using, or look to optimize those ones to be able, if it's an important feature, be able to optimize that experience so people can find that feature better and use it more, or adjust it, change it so that it is more user-friendly. Human resources can also use it from our job postings and descriptions that are out there. There's opportunity to see how many views each job description is getting by looking at page views, and then cross-reference that with the number of applicants coming in through there, and thinking of like that as a conversion or conversion rate. Maybe there's ways that we can change the layouts of those pages or adjust job descriptions, job posting titles, for example, to be able to match more of what the users are looking for or expecting to be able to increase application rates. And then the Claris team, obviously, as well, very similar approach to the digital division, but primarily working with smaller and community colleges. GA4 can work just the same way as it does for some of our larger public institutions as well. All right, we've also put together a quick takeaway for you, a quick guide, if you will, which will be is linked here, that you all can download and save and be able to look at, come back to. It has some great information about a lot of the high level things that we talked through today of metrics and dimensions and what it all means and why it's important. So hopefully that can be a great resource for you all to utilize as well. We're going to come back at you with one last emoji quiz. So that was only a brief half-hour presentation, but hoping that it at least give you a little bit more information and you're feeling better about Google Analytics and maybe have some use cases for your own. So put in the chat how you're feeling now about Google Analytics using an emoji.
Lots of people rocking out over here, Anderson, Elizabeth.
Yeah, we got some starstruck people. Wow, some hard eyes. Some people are feeling cool. All right, good.
Get rid of the
That's what we like to
confusion.
see.
Made some progress.
Good. Love to hear it. Can open it up to you all to answer some questions if you have any.
I have a quick one. I know you're at time, but I know you take over GA accounts for colleges and universities on the regular. What do you typically run into? They're one of the 50% not using anything, or it's there, but it's not good. Like, what do you see that colleges and universities are doing?
Yeah, I'd say 99% of our clients, maybe 100%, have Google Analytics on their site. It's all there. But most of the ones that we are taking over and looking at are bare bones and not really configured whatsoever. So they might be using some of the enhanced measurement and like automatic event tracking that we have that we talked about, but a lot of times it might just be basic like page views, and that's all we're able to get. There's no additional custom events or custom dimensions or conversions set up. So we typically start like almost 80% of our engagements probably with like foundational work to be able to get data in there that is useful to then later analyze. It's definitely underutilized from really all types and institution sizes and types. Yeah.
We had another question coming through the chat. What happens when a user rejects cookies? Does that impact analytics or how? From Ben Art.
Yeah, good question. So if the website is properly configured with a cookie consent banner that is integrated with Google Analytics and or Google Tag Manager, then yes, it does impact analytics to a certain degree. But Elizabeth mentioned early on that GA4 was brought around now for a particular reason, and this is one of those major reasons. Because they built in modeling features into Google Analytics 4 to account for cookie loss in these particular situations. So if a website introduces cookie consent banner, then Google will start to learn for all of those users that are allowing cookies. It'll learn about their activities, and then it'll be able to utilize the machine learning from that to essentially like make up data for those users that rejected cookies. So in theory, that usually looks like a significant loss in traffic as soon as a cookie consent banner is put on there, but it will take Google like 30 days to 12 weeks sometimes to learn a little bit about that traffic and make up for it with modeled activity. So it is built for this privacy first world in that sense, to be able to use modeled data to make up for it.
All right, that may be all the questions. No more in the chat. All right, well, thank you everybody for attending Google Analytics 101. We'll provide this recording and the deck afterwards for y'all to access, as well as that GA4 quick guide again. So thank you to Anderson and Elizabeth for presenting. And we'll see you all for the next sessions this afternoon or later today.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks all for joining.
All right.